Welcome back. All right, so we're going to talk about PK Subban today, who has announced his retirement from the National Hockey League. He was a number 43 pick for the Montreal Canadiens back in 2007. A little bit of a shorter career than I think we had expected from him, but if he wanted to play this year, I think he could have. At any rate, he retires, and we'll have the debate over what the most memorable part of his career was. And honestly, the arbitration becomes quite interesting when you look back on it. So, 2009-2010, plays 2 games during the regular season for Montreal, records 2 assists, good debut. And then in the playoffs, he really ramps it up. In 14 games, 1 goal, 7 assists for 8 points. So overall, Subban, decent debut, but he's still a rookie the following year. So in 2010-2011, plays 77 games, 14 goals, 24 assists for 38 points. In the playoffs, he adds 2 goals, 2 assists for 4 points in 7 games. He was 6th in Calder voting that year. So very good offensive numbers. There was always the debate about his defense. Always. It was just part of the storyline was, yeah, but defense. So 2011, 2012, in 81 games, 7 goals, 29 assists, 36 points. So he settled into a nice, decent number there again with points and good totals. But 2012, 2013 was really the huge year for him. Now, it's a lockout shortened season, so there was 48 games during that schedule. He played 42 of them, ends up with 11 goals, 27 assists for 38 points in those 42 games. In the playoffs, he adds 2 goals, 2 assists for 4 points in 5 games. He won the Norris trophy that year, and he's a first-team All-Star. So, really big numbers. And that would factor in 2013-2014 as his contract's coming to an end. 82 games, 10 goals, 43 assists, 53 points. In the playoffs, he adds 5 goals, 9 assists, 14 points in 17 games. So Montreal goes on a nice run, right? It's ended by the Rangers, but Subban looks very good during that run. So while he's not in the running for the Norris that year, he still has a very good season. And then the comments become one of, so what's his contract going to look like? They go to arbitration. Arbitration was ugly. Now, coming out of that arbitration hearing, Mark Bergevin, Jeff Molson, they work it out. They give him an 8-year deal worth $9 million per season. So 2014, he gets that ugly arbitration hearing out of the way and says all the right things. He says basically there was nothing personal during the arbitration hearing. It really wasn't a problem, and he's excited to be a part of Montreal. Even says he would have signed for 20 years if he could have. I'm sure he would. I'll take $9 million for 20 years. Yep, but the cap hit for him was actually the highest for a defenseman in the league at the time. $9 million a year, and there was questions about how that was going to work. He was the 3rd highest paid player, cap-wise, in the National Hockey League at that point, too. The Kane and Taves deals would kick in after. But, yeah, he was well paid. And so the comments really became one of, all right, so how good is he and is he worth it? The first year of the contract, the answer is, yeah, he is. 82 games, 15 goals, 45 assists for 60 points. In the playoffs, 12 games played, a goal, 7 assists, 8 points. He's a first-team All-Star, and he's 3rd in Norris voting. So huge bounce-back season for him. And so everything's kind of, it's fine. It's good, right? Well, 2015-2016, plays 68 games, 6 goals, 45 assists, 51 points. The points are excellent, right? The goals drop by 9, but he plays 14 less games. It's not that big a deal, but he's traded. And June 29th of 2016 was kind of a bonkers day. A big day for the channel at the time because there were some big trades made, including PK Subban being traded to the Nashville Predators for Shea Weber. And immediately it was that Montreal didn't like the Subban cap hit. They didn't like the contract. They wanted to get rid of it. The good news was Nashville had a contract with Weber that they wanted to get rid of as well, so it worked out well for both. 2016-2017, his first season in Nashville, 66 games played, 10 goals, 30 assists, 40 points. Plays well. Doesn't get into Norris contention, but in the playoffs, Nashville goes all the way to the final. 22 games, 2 goals, 10 assists, 12 points. And Subban was a useful part of that Nashville Predators team. So right away, the comments become, well, so did Montreal lose this trade then? Montreal didn't go to the final, so did they lose the trade? 2017-2018, in 82 games played, 16 goals, 43 assists, 59 points. Tremendous season for Subban. In the playoffs, he adds 4 goals, 5 assists for 9 points in 13 games. He's a 2nd-team All-Star, and he's 3rd in Norris voting. So, 2018-2019, again, Nashville, 63 games, 9 goals, 22 assists, 31 points. And in the playoffs, 6 games, 1 goal, 2 assists, 3 points. His play drops off a lot, right? So that third year with Nashville, his play drops off. His points totals are way down. And Nashville wants to get rid of that cap hit. Like, they really do want to get rid of that cap hit. Desperate enough that on June 22nd of 2019, he's traded to the Devils in a trade that everybody heralds as being a huge deal for New Jersey. And I remember the 2019 summers when everybody, I believe a lot of Devils fans said they win the offseason. And so with the Ottawa Senators at this point being the team that people see as having won the 2022 offseason, I'm seeing some parallels. And I understand that because they pick up Subban in New Jersey in exchange for a 2019 second-round pick, a 2020 second-round pick, Jeremy Davies, and Steven Santini. So it looked on the surface like, well, New Jersey gets a steal here, right? Yeah, it's a $9 million cap hit, but New Jersey can afford it, which I believe I argued at the time. But his play doesn't get better in New Jersey. He doesn't have that bounce back. So while he was only 1 year removed from being third in Norris voting and a second-team All-Star, he does not get his form back in New Jersey. In that first year in New Jersey, in 68 games, 7 goals, 11 assists for 18 points. So the offense has really dropped off. And with Subban, the offense had always kind of covered up any defensive inconsistencies, at least for some. There were definitely also some fans that still saw the defensive inconsistencies and whatnot. 2020, 2021, in 44 games, 5 goals, 14 assists, 19 points. So offensively, he bounced back a little bit, and I remember arguing that he couldn't be as low as 18 points again. He has to be better than that. And then coming into this past year, still, I thought, he's not that old. He could still technically have a bounce back. He's a defenseman. 77 games this last year, 5 goals, 17 assists, 22 points. He did win the King Clancy Trophy this year as well. So that gets added to his Norris Trophy. He doesn't have a cup ring. I don't think that we have a player here with a career that would get him into the Hall of Fame. He ends up playing 834 games, 115 goals, 352 assists, 467 points. In the playoffs, 96 games played, 18 goals, 44 assists, 62 points. He was a very outspoken player. He was also a player who understood his worth. And we can get into the discussion of greedy players versus the not greedy players. I never really saw it as a greedy deal on his side because Montreal signed it. The one thing that would have happened if the arbitration ruling had come down is that it would have been a 1-year contract and that it would have walked him to free agency. So in the event that in 2014 they hadn't worked out that 8-year deal, he could have been a free agent in 2015. And 2014, 2015, he was third in Norris voting. So if he had gone to market, he would have got more than $9 million a year. And it would have been a contract that would have been somebody else's problem. But then Montreal wouldn't have been able to trade him for Shea Weber. Weber was a big part of the Montreal team that went to the Stanley Cup final in 2021, as Subban was a big part of the Nashville team that went to the final in 2017. So I guess on that level, both teams win that deal. Nashville, of course, trading out the contract later. Montreal trading out the Weber contract this offseason as he's not going to play anymore. And so it's interesting to look back at a trade that was made 6 years ago and realize both teams kind of won. You could argue both teams kind of lost. But yeah, so there you go. The career of PK Subban, a controversial player. I know that people talked a lot about his slew footing that was going on this past season. The way that I saw that wasn't as much, dirty slew footing. I saw it more as a defenseman that had kind of lost a step and he knew what he was trying to do. And he was having his foot stuck out there when he shouldn't have. And I took that more to reflect that just he wasn't able to play the way that he had earlier in his career. So I'm not excusing it. I'm just saying that's how I saw it. But there you go. Let me know your thoughts. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you browsed your way through, you just happened upon this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, for all your support. I will talk to you again soon.